because it is an interrupted direct current, the current moves from one electrode to the other. So it moves from positive to negative. So just check the dials are working. Now in microcurrent, you actually use three different movements with the electrodes. The first of which is the glide technique. So we're going to actually start that on the neck. Just before you start, just make sure that you've moistened the tips, which are the cotton buds that have been placed into these electrodes, with the electrolotion to aid the conductivity of the current. So you're going to place the electrodes on the neck. Now the glide technique is where one probe is stationary and the other probe moves towards it with a gliding movement, therefore shortening the muscle. So what we're going to do here, I've got one probe just underneath the jaw, and in order to glide on the platysma muscle, which covers the anterior surface of the neck, we're going to draw the other electrode towards it. So we'll try that now with the current on. Client should feel very little on this particular machine. How does that feel, Julie? Does that feel comfortable?
Yeah, that's fine.
So one electrode is gliding towards the other. And this helps to reduce fine lines on the neck. So you can work over each area 4 to 6 times, or however many times is suggested by the manufacturer's instructions. You're going to just press in firmly at one end of the muscle and then press in firmly about an inch away and just hold there for approximately 10 seconds. Now this is very good for sagging muscles. If there's not enough tissue on the actual platysma muscle itself, just further down the neck, what you can do where it tends to be more saggy is under the jaw. So again, if you just push in with one electrode and then in with the other, and then just push the tissue together, and that just helps to lift sagging muscles, to tighten and tone them. And just reposition. So we're just holding there for approximately 10 seconds. And you can repeat that all the way underneath the jaw and across the platysma. Then we're going to use the slide technique on the platysma muscle. Now in the slide technique, both probes start at the point on the bulk of the muscle and move away from each other, therefore stretching the muscle to try and relax it. So we're just going to draw the electrodes away from one another. Therefore sliding. And this again helps to smooth out and reduce fine lines on the neck. Just check that the electrodes are moist in between the mentalis muscle on the chin, and use the slide technique in order to smooth out the chin lines. We're then going to use the grab technique on the risorius muscle, which is at the side of the mouth. So you can actually just hold there for 10 seconds, but also you can use the slide technique as well, where the electrodes are being pulled away from one another in order to relax and smooth out the smile lines. We're then going to use the slide technique over the orbicularis oris muscle. So you're moving the electrodes away from one another, slowly helping to reduce those pursing lines around the lip and raising the angle of the mouth. And then the same underneath. And then go to the muscles that help to lift the upper lip, the elevator labii. Use the grab technique, just holding on there, and you can repeat that on the other side, and then just moving slightly out towards the angle of the jaw. Again, you can use the grab technique, particularly if there's sagging tissue in this area. And then moving up around the eye area, just holding one probe stationary, and then using the other electrode to glide around the orbicularis oculi muscle. Repeat that on the other eye, and then just use the glide technique on the side of the eye, just helping out to smooth out those fine lines. And then finally, you can use the grab technique on the temporalis muscle, so having one probe underneath and one bit above the eyebrow, just to help to lift the eye tissue. And then just smooth out on the forehead. These movements may be repeated as many times as necessary for your client, and you can target specific areas. Clients should be encouraged to book a course of 10 to 12 treatments, given 2 or 3 times a week. After the course, clients should return for treatment at monthly intervals for maintenance.